education targeted to a specific field. You catch the rung of a career ladder and start climbing. You buy real estate and try not to feel the mortgage as a 25-year leash around your neck. You form romantic attachments until you find one person you can imagine spending the rest of the play with, and you marry them. You have children and spend the next 20 years or more raising them. You tough out a midlife crisis without buying a sports car or having an affair with a 22-year-old, and you get used to the idea that time is passing. You retire with your children off climbing their own ladders, your mortgage paid, and your prostate prodded or your pap smeared. Curtain. After which everyone sits for 45 minutes at your funeral and marvels at how well you played your role and how lifelike you look. Woohoo, inspiring. There seems to be a very narrow window for self-exploration and self-expression, after which it's all pretty much prescribed. If you take a gap year, you're just putting off the inevitable. But for people a little further down the road who claim happiness, the script may not look much like this. There are deviations aplenty, and whole acts of the play are skipped, shortened, overhauled, or revised beyond recognition. No law dictates that marriage is a requirement. You don't have to have kids if you don't want them. The last thing the world needs is more reproduction. You don't have to work a 9-to-5 job, and you may never have to retire if you don't want to. The problem is that when you finally want to adopt a longer-term outlook for your life, you may lack some critical equipment, like a degree, marketable skills, relationship savvy, or self-discipline. You may have to take another decade to build those up, by which time your peers may be 15 or 20 years ahead of you, and banks may be wondering if they can risk a mortgage on someone your age. Perfect for misery. But what if you're one of those spoil sports looking for happiness instead? Well then, by all means explore during your 20s. Try out new things, travel, have short-term relationships, diversify. But don't delude yourself that life is long. It isn't. There are no months or years to kill with nothing to show for it. The 20s are not a throwaway decade, as Meg Jay puts it in her book, The Defining Decade. If you're going to explore, get something from it. Take a summer out in the woods, but learn backcountry survival, rock climbing, kayaking, something. Go to Europe, but don't sit the whole time on the beach texting your friends back home. Work or volunteer at something that pushes your skills or boundaries. Come back with a thicker dossier of skills, not just a thinner wallet. Lesson 10. Never give an inch. On my consulting room bookshelf, I have a pegboard puzzle called Bandits of the Natchez Trace. 3 bandits and 3 sheriffs have to cross a river using a 2-person boat. At no time can the sheriffs be outnumbered by the bandits, and the boat can't row itself across or back. Ferrying the 6 across 2 at a time and having one row the boat back looks like the best option, but soon runs into the outnumbering problem. The surprisingly simple solution is at one point to take both a sheriff and a bandit back in the wrong direction. It's hard to notice because the goal of getting everyone across blinds us to it. It feels like we are losing ground. Resist this move and you're stuck in miserable stasis with a bandit's gun in your back. Building an adult life is a relentless series of bandit problems, during which we are forced to abandon a goal in order to achieve it. We want more money and more freedom, so we remain penniless in school so that we can graduate. We want to party for a week over spring break, so we stay home and study diligently for the month beforehand. We want to buy a car for the joy of mobility, so we forgo that joy and save our money until we have enough. For misery, resist the setback. Refuse to make any move that leads backward, that sacrifices something you want. Insist that every step you take must improve your circumstances. Because most significant goals involve giving ground in order to take ground, you'll soon find yourself stuck. Nowhere is this problem more extreme or vexing than when contemplating a move out of the family home. You want comfort. You want to eat. You want to have enough money to go out with friends. You want to feel like a success, like you can stand on your own 2 feet. You want, most of all, your own apartment. But to get it, you have to sacrifice what little wealth you've been able to accrue on rent, to give up whatever level of support you get from family, and to make do with less space, less comfort, lesser furnishings, and likely a lousier neighborhood than you've lived in your whole life. Some factors can make it even harder. Living in a city with extremely high rents and property values. Starting out in a wealthy family where the home you'll be leaving is particularly well appointed. Having a family that actually gets along and that you'll miss when you go. In this way, a supportive family can be both curse and blessing. A situation in which